So these two people really hate each other. Enter Donald Trump, President of the United States, and also Mike Pence, former vice president. And these two got elected together in 2016. They were supposed to be brothers in arms, but they ended up really disliking each other throughout the administration. And now Mike Pence is basically a political has-been. He blames Donald Trump for all of it. And starting this off, Donald Trump's first pick for vice president wasn't Mike Pence. It was actually Newt Gingrich, the former Speaker of the House, because Trump thought it would help appeal more to the establishment and also bring in a veteran who's very experienced to the table. The problem was Trump's base was not having it because they hated the idea of Newt Gingrich because he did all those ads in the 90s and 2000s with Nancy Pelosi to try and promote climate change reform, and also at the same time he backed amnesty for illegal immigrants, and they really just saw him as the establishment. Trump cut that idea out. He got rid of Newt Gingrich. Instead, he wanted to pick Chris Christie to be his VP because Chris Christie had this mass re-election by over 20 points in New Jersey, and also at the same time he was another loudmouth from the East Coast, so Trump thought it would be the perfect fit. The problem was Ivanka Trump was not having Chris Christie because her husband Jared Kushner had a very, very personal beef with Chris Christie. That's because Jared's dad is this guy right here, Charles Kushner, who got busted for tax evasion, illegal campaign contributions, and a variety of other things, and the guy who sent him to prison for 2 years was Chris Christie, who was a prosecutor in 2005. So Ivanka and Jared actually made this whole plan for Donald Trump to meet Mike Pence and make him the VP pick. So they actually arranged it so they delayed his flight in Indiana, keeping him in the state longer so he could meet Mike Pence, have this meeting with him, and then right after that, Donald Trump decided to pick him to be VP instead. For a while, Mike Pence was the perfect running mate, where due to his record in Congress, he was able to make the Bush-era people happy who were the establishment of the Republican Party, but because he was very religious, he was able to make the Trump faction happy, and then he also absolutely destroyed Tim Kaine in the vice presidential debate, which I think actually did a lot more help for Donald Trump's victory in 2016. But outside of that, everything went to hell, where Mike Pence, who's this really religious guy, was upset that Donald Trump was holding an LGBT flag and was basically saying he was pro-gay marriage. There was also foreign policy where Mike Pence voted 99.9% with the Bush administration when he was in Congress in the 2000s and actually was a friend of Dick Cheney. So Mike Pence disagreed with Donald Trump when it came to withdrawal from Syria. Mike Pence also wanted more troops in Afghanistan, and then Mike Pence was also ultra pro-Ukraine while Donald Trump was leaning more with Russia. Also just personal character. Early on in the administration, it came out that Donald Trump cheated on Melania Trump while she was pregnant with Stormy Daniels and also Playboy playmate Karen McDougal. So because of that, Mike Pence's wife was actually saying, hey, you should resign as vice president because she didn't think Trump should be president. The final nail in the coffin was the election where Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden, and Mike Pence actually wanted to come out and concede that they lost, but Trump didn't want to. And Trump was doing some crazy things where he asked Ken Cuccinelli, the acting Homeland Security Secretary, to actually start confiscating voting machines from Georgia, but he refused to do it. Trump also asked Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, in a phone call that has been revealed to the public to find him 40,000 more votes, but Brian Kemp refused also. Finally, Trump asked Mike Pence not to certify the election, which wouldn't have even done anything, but Pence refused to do it. The reason was Mike Pence spoke to former Vice President Dan Quayle, who's a Republican, that told him that he'd be a traitor to the country if he didn't certify. And that's why they hate each other. And with that, I'm Charles Pearl, Red Blue News. Subscribe.